But we realize we are interbeings. 90% of us is other beings, and they ain't us and give us help. This idea, first in the concentration camps, that some humans are inferior and we will only have purity of race if they're exterminated. That's what guided Hitler's thinking. And then that thinking went when it was introduced to agriculture, instead of celebrating the diversity of insects. Insects were made the enemy, wipe out each of them. And if you look at the advertisements of the pesticide industry, every insect is made an enemy for extermination. But first of all, the insects have an amazing intelligence to create a web of food, and they have a best predator balance. We have a lot of insects on our Navdanya farm, but no pests. Because in that web of life, no particular insect becomes dominant. It's a monoculture that creates a feast for some insects who then become pests. Pests are a creation of industrial agriculture. Nature does not create pests. Weeds are a creation of industrial agriculture. Nature does not give us weeds. Good farming creates biodiversity, not weeds. Good farming creates insect diversity, not weeds. And when your insect diversity, monocultures first create certain insects which become too high in their numbers, and then they start to become damaging. And then you spray poisons, and you think you're going to control them. But instead of controlling them, you create super pests because you forget that the insect is intelligent and will evolve resistance. So you create resistant pests. Then you think, oh my gosh, but now I can do genetic engineering, I'll change the plant. And you think by spraying Roundup on genetically engineered crops, you'll beat the weeds. Now the weeds become super weeds because they're intelligent and they know how to evolve to protect themselves. So this mechanistic game of control and mastery has failed again and again and again. And yet it is being put on fast forward as a solution to the emergencies, the climate emergency, the extinction emergency, the pandemic emergency, the health emergency that we are facing because of that system. As Einstein had said, you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that caused it. You cannot solve the problem of the climate's health disorder through the same mindset of greed and fossil fuels and globalization. You cannot solve the health disorders of our bodies by continuing to treat health as an external input, either a drug that you buy or a vaccine, because health is being whole. Being whole is the self-organization. So for the earth to be whole, we have to remove the pressures of the fossil fuel system and our resource demands so that the earth can be whole again. I have worked in enough ecosystems to know if you get that pressure off, the biodiversity comes back. On our farm, I began with a simple commitment. I'm going to save seeds. I'm not going to let monopolies of Monsanto own the seed. I'm not going to let every seed become a GMO. So we started saving seeds. We built 150 community seed banks in India. And today I want to celebrate with you International Seed Day. We named it International Seed Day because I don't know how many of you even remember the Iraq War. It seems so far away. But the Iraq War, everyone thought it was about oil only. No, it was about seeds too. So the Iraqis came to me for help. And you will have seen images of the tortures in Abu Ghraib, which was made the prison. The Abu Ghraib was their seed bank. And the name Abu Ghraib came from one of their ancient wheat varieties, whose name was Abu Ghraib. So we take the best varieties from the Fertile Crescent, where agriculture originated, and we turn this gene bank into a prison for torture. You might remember, they were giving electric shocks and they put hoods on the prisoners. This was when absolutely, it was on the the top story at that time. But around that time, the administrator for Iraq was someone called Bremer. And Bremer passed an Iraqi Order 81, making it illegal for Iraqi farmers to have their own seed and requiring that they use Monsanto seeds. That's why they reached out to me desperately. And we decided, I helped them with understanding laws and also understanding that saving seed is the highest duty. And if you have to disobey a law, that's your duty. That's why I call it satyagraha, following Gandhi, the force of truth. For me, the force of truth of the seed means a law that says you can't save seeds has to be disobeyed. A law that says you can't exchange seed has to be disobeyed, because sharing and saving seed is the highest moral duty on earth. So because Bremer had passed this order on 26th of April, we decided we're going to celebrate World Seed Day, International Seed Day on the 26th of April. I'm very happy I'm giving this talk to you on this day, because what we are talking about is protecting the seeds of health, both literally, materially, but also in our minds. Because the seeds of death have acquired so much power that unless each of us has the awareness, the consciousness, the resilience, and collectively we move towards a system that creates health by creating real food, we will not be able to stop this experiment. We have a whole process on crimes against nature. It's called ecocide. And what Hitler did in his concentration camps is genocide, as is the genocide of indigenous people and First Nations, or the Aboriginal people, or my people when they were pushed to famine. These are all genocides, harming people deliberately. What we are seeing before us is ecocide and genocide, which has evolved in the last 500 years, now being put on fast forward, and everyone, the government's being told you can't regulate us. People being told, oh my gosh, if you dare speak truth about health, we're going to label you as a conspirator. And it's very interesting that, years ago, we evolved a national movement for understanding indigenous science, which was very, very sophisticated. It gave us Ayurveda, it gave us agroecology. And a young engineer decided she was not going to do engineering, she'd study Ayurveda. She became a leading Ayurvedic practitioner in all these years. She runs an Ayurvedic hospital. She has treated COVID patients. And she was asked to give a talk. And YouTube removed it. So it goes against the community roots. Since when did YouTube become the community of health practitioners?